Yes!
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Completionist. You know, it's been about, 10, 11 episodes since our last visit to the year 20XX and the world of the original Mega Man series. Mega Man has definitely surged back onto the scene with Smash Bros. His amiibo was sold out in most places I've seen, and with the new update for Smash Bros, you can now have your Miis wear a Proto Man skin or a Mega Man X skin. So yes, Mega Man is very much alive and well and on the brain for many, except for Capcom. Still waiting for a new Mega Man game. Maybe this is the year. Probably not, but hey, a man can dream. A Mega Man can dream. The Mega Man Anniversary Collection, as previously stated in our review of 1, 2, and 3, acts as a great way for consumers nowadays to play through the Mega Man legacy. With today's standards, though, it does kind of suck, because if you want the full Mega Man experience, you'll need to download each game individually through a console distribution service, as opposed to a collection pack that has everything. I mean, I guess that's not so bad, as some of the collection pack changes aren't necessarily copacetic with some traditional gamers, i.e. quick shooting or replaced text. As we get older, sometimes we want to experience the games as old school as we can for that real authenticity. While Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 focused on setting up the stakes for the formula, 4, 5, and 6 aims to expand and enhance. Our focus, again, will be the next 3 games in the series, because the games don't necessarily change a lot from plot to plot, presentation, and gameplay. The games are short when compared to our standards today, so it's easier to make a video that goes over 3 at a time. However, we will be making individual videos for Mega Man 7 and 8, because both games do go under massive overhauls.
Mega Man, today we finish this!
Hey, Zach!
Looking at these games now, it's interesting to see where series helmer Keiji Inafune and his team were coming from. The ideals of what Mega Man came from and what it eventually evolved into. It was an ambitious project. It's fascinating to see how each one has changed for the better, or sometimes for the worse. My favorite thing about the original Mega Man franchise, and really any Mega Man game, is that each person can make their confident decision of which one is their favorite, and have their own reasons. And with their own reasons, they don't need to defend themselves, because at their core, every game in the series is so well respected and executed. Except for Mega Man 8. I don't know. I have no idea.
You can't leave yet!
If, for whatever reason, you felt the need to skip the last video we did on the first 3 Mega Man games, I'd recommend you go check them out, because really, the story doesn't change. I mean, sure, in each game you've got subtle differences, but we'll talk about them very briefly as the changes aren't that big. But for the number of you who didn't play any Mega Man game, the premise can be summarized as such. The evil Dr. Wily wants to take over the world, builds evil robot masters. The good Dr. Light sends his creation Mega Man to stop the evil robot masters. Also, when Mega Man kills them, he takes their powers. Mega Man 4 attempts to paint a slightly different villainous picture, with the introduction of Russian Doctor, and please forgive me, Dr. Cossack. He boasts that he is the greatest designer of them all, and sends his robot army against Dr. Light. And in that fashion, we have the employment of Mega Man to stop the Doctor's 8 robot masters. Mega Man 5 takes place a few months after the events of Mega Man 4, and directs the focus towards Proto Man, Mega Man's brother, as the villain. Proto Man kidnaps Dr. Light, which undoubtedly forces Mega Man to hunt Proto Man down. Mega Man can't hunt him down until he defeats the evil 8 robot masters that stand in his way. And as we move towards Mega Man 6, the plot sees Mega Man overseeing a Robot Master tournament held by the mysterious Mr. X. Mr. X takes the top 8 Robot Masters and then turns them into his own personal robot army, revealing that he's been the puppet master controlling Dr. Wily this whole time. And of course, rinse and repeat, our hero must save the day. Now, based on what we've seen so far, I think it's safe to say that we know the traditional structure of a Mega Man game. Mini spoiler incoming, but it's pretty obvious, especially with regard to the designs of the Robot Masters. Dr. Wily is in fact the one behind all 3 of these games as the villain. So at first glance, the villain is someone else. But at the end of the day, it's Wily. It's always Wily.
Why didn't I implant some humble chips into that boy?
It's hard to discuss the graphical advances for the Mega Man series. The hardware didn't change in all of the years the games were produced, so I can't really speak on behalf of an extreme evolution. But what I can say, however, is that everything does look more polished. Execution on gameplay and presentation gets a nice bump in improvement, but aesthetically, it comes down to being very much the same. Level designs are pretty diverse from game to game. Nothing feels as recycled from the other games, except for the Wily stages or those extra castle stages. That's my biggest problem with the original Mega Man series. I understand why they decided to add another castle, but I feel like they padded out their game just for the sake of padding out their game. On the topic of design value, I think 4, 5, and 6 have some of the most unique bosses in the series.
Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
At the same time, they also have some of the worst. In fact, they used to hold design contests to let fans design their own Robot Masters, and they would end up being put into the game. For example, 6 out of the 8 Robot Masters in Mega Man 6 were designed by Japanese fans and their submissions, with the other 2 being 2 North American submissions via Nintendo Power. Now, if I had to look at all 6 games, I think that Mega Man 4 has my favorite set of villains. I really like Pharaoh Man, Toad Man, and Skull Man. Their skills also feel very personal for who they are as Robot Masters, and you'll kind of see as we move on to Mega Man 6, the animations and skills all kind of blend together. I mean, I do see why. You kind of reach a point where everything ends up being the same again. And yes, mind you, Mega Man 6 came out at the same time as Mega Man X, so the animal introduction of hybrids with Robot Masters works out way better. Musically, we have our large returning potpourri of Capcom artists who've worked on all the Mega Man games over the years. The music to me seems the most improved, as you can tell the artists have worked with the hardware for so long. They've learned all the ins and outs. But like I said, with limitations of a new console or without the redesign of a new engine, you can only do so much without new hardware. Now, in the event that you somehow never played a Mega Man game before, I'll explain it fair and simple. It's a platformer in which you must jump, shoot, and sometimes slide your way through 8 levels, with anywhere from 4 to 8 extra levels leading up to the final boss fight with Dr. Wily. Killing each boss in the first 8 levels will grant you a weapon from said boss, and you will use it against a different boss. Things like fire kills ice, ice kills fire, that kind of stuff. Each game features a correlating boss to go with another that connects the dots like some big chart. But there are quite a few changes within the game, so let's talk about them. First and foremost, the biggest change we see in Mega Man 4 is the Buster Shot. Finally, it took only 4 Mega Man games, but now Mega Man can charge a shot and release it at will. I don't know about you guys, but when I think about Mega Man, I think of this motion exactly. Having the ability to charge is huge. It lets you have the decision of running and gunning or waiting and baiting. This diversity alone lets players decide how they want to play a Mega Man game, and I've always honored and loved that about the franchise, and it only gets perfected more and more from game to game, making the width and blast more or less powerful. Rush is still around as Mega Man's faithful sidekick, and for each game he's in, he's pushed more and more into a different direction. In Mega Man 4, Rush has his original power-ups of Rush Coil, Jet, and Marine, but he also has 2 more versions, Wire Adapter and Balloon Adapter, and they do exactly like they sound like, balloons and wires, like a clown. Sad clown. With Mega Man 5, Rush's coil animation has changed from Rush giving you a lift with his back to him actually jumping first and then you jumping off. However, the largest change we see in Rush comes in Mega Man 6, where Rush Jet has Rush turning into a jetpack that attaches to Mega Man's suit and he flies, or the power suit. These kind of things take certain things away from Mega Man, like sliding or speed, but allow him to have extreme strength or flight. It's a cool trade-off if you ask me. In these games, we see the introduction of Eddie, a little top cute robot that spits out extra lives, energy tanks, and more. Seeing this guy always put a smile on my face, because I was being rewarded for no reason. Rather, I was being rewarded as, good job, you made it this far into the level. Sometimes a gold star is all you need. Another great addition to Mega Man 5 and 6 is Beat the Robot Bird. In later Mega Mans, Beat catches you from death, but in Mega Man 5 and 6, he's a cold-blooded killer. He flies into nearby enemies and kills them quickly, and he even works on some bosses too, so he ends up being pretty versatile. However, Beat is kind of a completion bonus of these games. For example, in Mega Man 5, you'll need to collect a letter on every stage spelling out Mega Man 5. And in Mega Man 6, it turns out that a lot of the stages have split paths, where you'll need a rush adapter or a power-up to venture into it. Spelling out the word beat will unlock Beat. See, subtle diversity leads to perfection. Now, I do love these additions to these games, but a lot of people complain that these games don't do enough differently from each other, including the power-ups and their animations. I'm somewhere in the middle, where I agree with a lot of the sentiments that are said, but I think there's a lot that's different. Yet, we kind of have to look at both the hardware limitations and the first and third-party softwares involved. For instance, with Nintendo, we got 3 drastically different Mario games. Lost levels, whatever. All 3 games were drastically different from each other, building on the core mechanics of the previous game. Mega Man kind of recycled within itself. It's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just the truth. First party versus third party. After you've defeated all the robot masters in every single game, you are then taken to some form of a castle or tower or dungeon owned and operated by the villain of said game. All of these dungeons come fully equipped with several levels and mini bosses and large bosses that definitely will require you to jump out of your comfort zone. Once you figure out their patterns and defeat them, you'll end up at the castle owner's boss fight, and before you really beat them, it's revealed that, wait for it, Dr. Wily is the villain.
However, I don't have time to deal with you.
I'm really dreading Mega Man 8. And then we reset to the brand new Wily Castle, fight the 8 Robot Masters again, defeat Wily, and boom, the game is over. I feel like a broken record here, but this big format is something I really dislike within the overall series. But hey, I still appreciate the effort, and what they did here was still wonderful. Due to all the subtle changes made to Mega Man 4, 5, and 6, I would say that the game is definitely easier for newer players. Veteran Mega Man players will have no problem conquering these games, and the difficulty is switched for a more diverse experience. Between the power-ups from Rush and Beat to the reskinning and recycling of certain boss power-ups, the games do feel more confident on their own. Now, are the bosses very hard? No. Mega Man's never been known for difficult bosses, unless you're talking about the Yellow Devil. I hate the Yellow Devil! As you all know, knowing which boss is weak to what ultimately eliminates the necessity for a hard fight. So imagine playing these games for the first time. It was very revolutionary the first 4 or 5 times. I think the big problem here is that by the time we got to Mega Man 5 and 6, we were already set in stone to move on to the next in the series. Mega Man X did so much different, which makes it so hard to look at these last few titles and go, yeah, I remember them, yeah, they were good. They were pretty good, they were good. They were like the rest, but they were good. Mega Man 4, 5, and 6 goes to show that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, it also goes to show that there's always room for improvement. And by the time we reached the end of the NES's life cycle, the Mega Man formula was nearly perfected. Now, if we're talking about completing these games, there's not too much to marvel at, especially if you take into consideration all of the letters to spell out the words like Mega Man 5 and Beat. I don't know, you tell me. At the end of the day, the games are still fun. With that in mind, guys, these games get my completionist rating of finish it.
Finish it!
Thank you for watching today's episode of The Completionist. If you liked what you saw today, go ahead and give that subscribe button a little click right there. That's all the time we have for today, guys, so please, as always, let us know what you think about today's episode somewhere on the internet. Facebook, Twitter, I almost said Rumble, Reddit, all that great stuff. In case you guys don't know, I'm actually streaming a lot more often now. I'm trying to create a stream schedule to happen at least 4 times a week, but right now we're doing it 2 to 3 times a week. as well as the Saturday Night Slam community nights, where you guys can play with my community members a lot of fighting games like Smash Bros. And Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and Tekken and all that great stuff. I'm not there for those streams a lot, but I try to be, just because I want to be there to support everyone that's there. And I'm not there because I'm generally working on other projects and trying to enjoy my weekend from when I'm completing games. So at the very least, come join the streams. They're a lot of fun, they're free, and they go on for long hours on end, so it's a good time. We're trying to, build that stream community out, so come join us. It's a lot of fun. The link right here on the screen, or just head over to twitch.tv/ThatOneVideoGamer. Now, if you excuse me, let's watch Toadman fight his way through the power of dance.
Super fighting robot.